Welcome back to the Real Estate 401k Show. I'm your host, Mike Weinstein. This is Justin Frederick, and I got Ryan Gerdes down at the end of the hall. You're going to want to text the word TIPS to 623AZ-RECON. That's the word TIPS, T-I-P-S, to 623AZ-RECON. We have an incredible blog on our website on really essential tips for selling your home quickly and for the best price. That's what we always say. Our goal is to sell your home as fast as possible for the most amount of money, and it really is that fine balance and finding that sweet spot. So I wanted to start off with one of the big ones. And again, if we want to get the entire blog and the entire list, again, all you got to do is text the word TIPS to 623AZ-RECON. I don't know what's worse, strong pet odors or clutter. Now, as you guys know, my wife talked me into buying a third dog, and got him from Texas. Great dog. Love this dog. I mean, he's a cool dog. He's going to be a great dog. I don't know what it is. Like, he tries to pee on the rocks. He does. But it always ends up on the trim of the pool decking and the little pony wall and stuff like that. And if you go out and hang out my backyard, I mean, it is like I had to literally research because we had a party last week and find some stuff, and I was scrubbing it, and it worked great. It was fantastic. But man, but you know, walking into a house, potential buyer walking into the house, and it smells like cat pee, dog urine, and or clutter all over the place. Well, which one's worse?
I'm gonna have to go with anything that smells. So I'm gonna go with the pet odors. That's just one of my senses that if you assault it, then like I feel offended. You know what I mean? If I can get over,
sticks with you too.
Yeah, I can get over. Okay, you know, they have probably too many decorations up there, or too many pictures up there. I can usually see past that. But if it smells like hell. Because the thing that's going through my head is, okay, they're going to take those pictures down when they're out of here. But I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get that pet odor out when they're out of here. Because if it's really seeped down through carpet, or if they've just been negligent, like to me, that's just something where that could be extremely costly.
Well, and that's a good point, because if you hire a carpet cleaning service, they can't tell you how deep this is and how deep this has gone.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many times we've spent the money on that, or our clients have spent the money on it, and three weeks later, it's back.
Especially if it's a two-story, because that means that you're going to have some wood substrate, and that odor will seep into that wood a hell of a lot easier than it will concrete. And it's just, there's no getting rid of it without doing some massive invasive stuff.
Yeah.
Now those, what do they call them? Those ozonators or
Ozonators,
ozonators. Those have proven to do really good, but it's not going to scrub the floor. It's just going to take whatever dander or whatever that's in the air and then filter it and then spit out clean
Well, the
air.
ozonators are really good to mitigate the smell of cigarette smoke.
Fair. Yeah, that's even worse than pet odor. Back when I was a kid, I'm not gonna lie, I've had my share of smokes back when I was a kid. You know,
I thought you were going to talk about urinating in your bed at night. I really did. I'm like, man, I'm like, I mean, I know it happened just last week,
yeah,
but
I mean, never would I ever dream of smoking inside of a house. And so I don't want to sit here and shame smokers or anything like that, but if you're a smoker, that's fine. Make sure you don't do it inside your house, and just know that you're the only one that thinks that it doesn't smell. Everyone else can smell it if they're not a smoker. And it sticks there, and it gets on everything. It's not just the house, it's the clothes, it's all the furnishings. And so if you want to list your house, and if you either currently smoke in your home or you have smoked in your home, I would bring in somebody who's a non-smoker and have them give a very honest opinion about whether or not they can smell it. and then do some aggressive remediation for that.
How Justin, are you getting the bad smell out of your car, your truck,
For what?
just in general?
Yeah. Clean it.
Yeah. Go figure.
Shoot, that's the secret. Damn it, I got to write that down. Go clean my car.
Yeah, instead of using that air freshener on your body, go ahead and
Wiping
put
it
in.
all over yourself.
But you've seen Justin, the house is full of clutter. I don't know whether this is too young for you guys, but one of my favorite shows growing up was Sanford and Sons. It's just an absolute classic. And the whole idea is his front yard was a junkyard. And, and sometimes you walk into a house, Justin, and there's just shit everywhere. And it makes it, the worst part about it is it makes the house look smaller.
Oh, big time. Big time. I've walked into some really, really rough houses. And yeah, it was incredible. One of them was a hoarder's house. And one of my buddies picked it up for super cheap, and I couldn't believe how big this house was. I mean, I'd been in there. I'd seen everything. I'd walked through the tunnels and just had no idea how big this house was. It was really nice after he got it all cleaned out, but clutter and smell, yeah, clutter is just one of those things that if you declutter, it will make your house look bigger. Absolutely.
We bought a 2,500 square foot house about 12 years ago. And literally it was just like these narrow like paths through the house, and it was floor to ceiling, just stuff. They emptied the pool and used it as additional storage. We pulled a piano out of the pool.
Oh my goodness.
We pulled, we pulled bikes out of there. 4 dead raccoons, 8 dead cats, a couple of dead dogs that just found their way back there, and just
I can't imagine the flies there.
It was absolutely hideous and just disgusting. And we did the same thing. We took 4 40-foot roll-off dumpsters and filled them up before we even started demo.
That's insane. That's insane.
Well, I would also say just one other tip in this, especially when it comes down to the kitchen and the master closet, because master closet, if it just looks like a row of clothes from Ross, dress for less, it makes that closet look puny. So pack them up, pack a lot of your clothes up, make the clothes spaced out or whatever to make that closet look as big as possible. And then the same thing with pantries in the kitchen. You open up pantries and it's just stuffed with crap. It tells the person in that relationship who does the majority of the cooking, and which is me. It says there's not a lot of room for stuff, and so. All right, second one, and we'll just do this one really quickly for the sake of time, but I did want to invite everybody to get a chance to get this entire list of tips for selling your house quickly, and I'm changing the order of things on us because number 4 we talked about last week. So, but number 1, addressing major repairs and damages. I mean, nothing is worse when you pull up to a house and it just looks like it needs a lot of repairs. And for me, in my experience, probably one of the number 1 issues that buyers will get caught up on, if there's any type of evidence of roof damage or the roof needing replaced. And so when you walk in, because I always walk, when I'm showing a home, I look at every square inch of the ceilings. I'm looking for those water bubbles to just show me, especially after it rains, show me that potentially there's issues with the roof or the fascia boarding. It's how many, especially in the summer heat, we see that all the time. And if the fascia boarding's jacked up, it's not always a reflection of the condition of the roof, but a typical buyer looks at that and equates it with the roof.
And I think that there's an element of ROI that you have to look at it too, because we'll stick with the roof example. More often than not, if a buyer walks in there and there's elements of the roof that are bad, if you would have front-loaded that work, you probably could just repair a certain area where, maybe there's just a little bit extra wear and tear because maybe that portion of the roof gets like additional sun exposure, or, maybe there's a tree right above it that drips, sap and drops leaves on it that that kind of accelerates the the wear and tear on it, and you just take care of those elements of it. Whereas if you were to list it with that, then the buyer's going to want the entire roof replaced.
That's a great point.
Right? So you just took maybe a $3,000 repair into a $15,000, $20,000 full replacement, and so like you could see massive ROI on just doing those types of things up front, because we see it all the time, and I get it. Not everyone has that cash sitting around in order for them to do it. They're kind of relying on the equity in their home in order to either pay for that, or maybe they'll just say, I'll knock a couple of bucks off. Buyers aren't interested in a couple of bucks if it's a roof.
No.
They're not interested in a couple of bucks if your electric is shot.
Yeah.
They're not interested in a couple of bucks if all your sewer lines are cracked and imploding. So got to get in front of those things. It's some hard medicine to swallow, but you got to do it.
All right, and then the third one, Justin, we'll let you start because you are the non-real estate licensed person in the room. You are obviously our lending expert and our preferred mortgage and loan officer. I really think at the end of the day, I think one of the biggest mistakes, and I'm not saying Ryan and I are perfect, and I'm not saying we're the only great real estate agents out there, though we prefer to be called real estate wealth managers because that's what we do. And we're helping people build wealth in real estate. But I think one of the biggest mistakes that you can make, because you see it, you work with a ton of agents, is sellers not picking the right agent and or feeling bad because their sister or brother just got licensed or their best friend just got licensed and they get guilted into going with them, and it can cost thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes, and if you're going with a family member that isn't very blunt with you, that's a big deal. I mean, you see agents just throw a sign in the front yard, take pictures with their iPhone, and on here, this is the property as it is. No advice on how to fix it up and maximize your ROI on the sale of the property. I think it's such a big deal, especially experience when it comes to this, because with that experience, you're getting that knowledge of the feedback that you've gotten over many years of different possible buyers coming in and giving you feedback on those homes, and you take that with you to every new listing you go to. And I mean, I'm sure you guys are like me. I still learn stuff every single day. And so every transaction that I go to or go through, I'm learning new things. So you guys are just compiling all these years of information on how do I get the most money and maximize profits for my sellers. And that's what comes along with you guys. You guys have been doing this for a really long time, and you guys deal with a lot of volume. So volume's a big deal. I mean, if you've been doing it for 20 years and you do one transaction a year, you're probably not going to remember what the last one was like or what the first one was like. But when you're doing it constantly having a pipeline of listings, multiple listings at a time, you know what you're doing. It's a big deal.
Ryan, one of our sayings that we have with our clients, and one of the questions that we ask with clients is do you like money, right? And with that, if you like money, you don't like to waste money. And you and I hate wasting money, and we don't want our clients wasting their money. So you were kind of going through a list of things to do and not to do. I think one of the biggest things that we can bring to the table for any of our listeners thinking about selling their home is walking them through what repairs that they're thinking in their mind that they need to do that aren't going to bring them value as opposed to the ones that are going to bring them value.
And we always start with the ones that are either super cheap or free. There's a lot of things that you can do that just don't cost anything. There's minor adjustments. Okay, it might be a little bit inconvenient, but if you're gonna get good monetary results, most of the time people are willing to eat that. I think that the other thing, especially with the market the way that it is right now, I think the biggest issue that I'm seeing with the industry as far as agents out there is they want to be a people pleaser. And while that's good for
Hosting a
relationship
party.
Yeah.
for relationships and
Hosting a
whatnot.
party.
Yeah, like those, that's good. But when it comes down to it, like case in point, there's this deal that we're working on right now, and the owner had a number in mind, and it was just because that's what they wanted out of it. And so what they did is they did as much research as they could to support their number. So they were chasing facts, right, that supported what their opinions were, rather than forming an opinion based on the facts. And so, and for this one, it came to pricing, because we're talking about things that we can control here, right? We can control, like how our home is showing. If we know that there's roof leaks, that we can control that by hiring a roofer to go over there and fix it, etc. We can control pricing. And so they have it in their head that this home that's 20 years old should sell for as much as the home next door that is literally brand new. And they said, well, this one over here, it's a couple hundred square foot bigger, and it's sold for X amount, so therefore we should get that much too. And I'm like, what planet are we?
Walk me through.
Yeah, walk me through that, because the windows are already shot on the home. There's $40,000 worth of windows. The pool needs to be completely redone. They've done some nice things on the inside of the home, but it is not brand new.
No.
Right? It needs flooring. The cabinets are the honey oak from back in the early 2000s. You've all seen it before. And so I would just say, if when you're talking about who you're going to hire, having somebody that is willing to be that devil's advocate and that's not gentle but is honest.
All right, if you would like our entire list of tips for selling your home quickly and for the best price, or looking for some guidance and having someone come over and kind of walk you through what are the things that you can focus on in improving the value of your house, and what things you may want to reconsider throwing money at, would love to help you out. All you got to do is text the word TIPS, TIPS, to 623-AZ-RECON. That's TIPS to 623-AZ-RECON.